Steve, I want to talk about Harvard for a minute, and I want to talk about specifically the Trump administration's seemingly war, I guess you could say, on Harvard. What's the motivation for this campaign? Harvard is obviously fighting back against it, but what's the motivation, the core motivation?
So I'd say there's a substantive motivation and a political motivation. The political motivation is it's probably good politics for Donald Trump. He puts himself out as the sort of champion of the common man. There's no better way to reinforce that image than by picking a fight with one of America's most prestigious universities. So it's probably a political win for Donald Trump. On the substantive side, you have, I'd say conservatives in general have had problems with not only Harvard, but problems with elite institutions, higher education, for sort of rank discrimination, for aggressive, over-the-top DEI policies, things that I think have some merit, arguments that have some merit. The Trump team has taken this sort of and done that times 10, times 100. J.D. Vance gave a speech at a national conservatism conference in 2021 before he was a candidate for the Senate. And the title of the speech was "Professors Are the Enemy." And it was a 30-minute stem winder about all of the problems with higher education, all the problems with academia. And he said, the universities are ruining our kids, are corrupting our kids. They're the enemy. They're not teaching the truth. They're teaching lies and deception. So that's sort of where I think a lot of this comes from. And it's a plan. I mean, none of this is happening by accident.
Right. Leanne, how's this playing politically?
This is, well, let's say two different things. On the Hill, Republicans this is not something that they want to break with the president on. This is not an issue that they are willing to stand in front of him on, like most issues, I should say. Politically, I actually don't know the answer to that. I think that most Americans, from what I'm reading in the polls and when I'm talking to my sources, say this is not on top of mind. This is not what they elected Donald Trump to do. And, that is something that I've heard from Republicans say that they hear from voters on the issue of DOGE and government spending and that sort of stuff. But this just seems pretty extreme for people who want immigration crackdown and want lower costs.
Right. Peter, is Harvard in real trouble?
Well, look, this is an administration that's been very clever and methodical about its use of government pressure on Harvard. They keep finding a new way to attack Harvard every single day. And on some of these, they may win. We don't know. Obviously, it's now starting to move its way through the courts. A judge this week said, no, you can't suddenly cut off their international students for the moment. It is going to go eventually to the Supreme Court, where there are a number of Harvard graduates sitting at the moment. I don't know what that means in terms of their personal
Some of them
sympathies.
Might hate Harvard, but
yeah.
That's it. We'll find out.
J.D. Vance is a Yale graduate. Obviously, some people came out of this experience in the Ivy Leagues feeling quite bitter about it, right? And they feel like they maybe a lone conservative in a liberal institution felt motivated to attack him. That's certainly.
I'm sympathetic. I'm sympathetic to the lack of ideological diversity to some of these arguments. But I think there's a risk for some blowback. If you look at what Trump is doing, he's demanding 5 years of videos of protests. He's saying that they need to meet some ideological diversity test approved by a third party. That's a problem.
Right. Well, we'll probably be talking about this again because this seems to be a sincere commitment on the part of the Trump administration, despite what you point out, Leanne, that it might not be top of mind for the average voter, but it's definitely top of mind
it's very personal.
for this administration. But we are going to have to leave it